Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at SoberCoffeePod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Good morning, Glenn. You're doing acrobatics over there,
what
man.
the, it's just crazy stuff that goes on, man.
Kind of floating around over there, yeah.
I listened to I had the opportunity to listen to an episode this week. I'm like, God, man, sometimes I am so enthusiastic.
Well, for the hour of the day, of the day, that's impressive or scary. I'm not sure.
No, man, but I'm really excited about today.
Yeah, me too.
No parking lot banter today.
No.
You were coming in hot.
I came in hot, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. That's the way it works.
So I guess, we got table for three this
morning.
I
love it. I can't wait.
Yeah, we got a repeat offender. Yeah.
Boy, is that a relevant topic.
I know, right? So he came, he was on before. Go check out the other episodes. We had Emil on before, EMIL. And Emil, welcome back, man.
Welcome, Emil.
Great to see you
again. I love to see the coin around your neck, man. I love it.
I know a little something.
I have mine sitting in my Chicago one sitting in my office at home.
Do you? Yeah. You guys, you still see my picture in the post office? They haven't taken it.
No, I think they've taken it down. No, I think you're number 11 now.
Well, you gotta aspire to be in the top 10, the top 10 most wanted.
Yeah, but the problem is, man, that means you got to really step it up because there's some crazy people in that top 10. So that's why.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Emo was pushed to 11. Well, you're done in Vegas. You're not allowed to go in Vegas anymore.
That's
so.
right.
Let's stay in the preamble.
That's
now.
right.
We are not affiliated with any sect, denomination, politics, organization. We should engage in any controversy, need endorse or oppose any causes.
I love it, Emo. I love it. So, yeah, go back and listen to Emil's story, Emil's time with us before. It's good stuff. Emil, you do so much stuff in the area of sobriety. I mean, I'll just tell on myself. When I came in, and we were just kind of talking before, the mics went live here, older guys in the program, right? And, like older physically and with more, time under their belt. And so I kind of walked into rooms and it was, it wasn't smoky, but it sure should have been, right?
Yeah,
just
right.
a smoky environment.
Right.
How you doing? I've been sober for 53 years. And then I walk into this little meeting. My sponsor told me, what are you doing Saturday? Well, he told me what I was doing Saturday, actually. And he said, go to this meeting in a couple suburbs over. And so I go there and the shares go around, and then this guy opens up his mouth. This guy says, I am Emil, I'm an alcoholic, and he starts talking, and I think to myself, okay, there's a rock star in the room. I can relate now because, and isn't that the program? You need to find those little threads that you can relate to, right? And Emil, you were a guy I could relate to right out of the gate because you had a great story to tell, and you were and go back to one more AA thing here. You go back to, if you want what we have and are willing to go to anything to get it. I wanted what you had because you had an enthusiasm for the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and not just going through the motions. So that was a big welcome. But welcome.
Yes, I remember when I first met you two. You were having a few problems. I remember you were kind of back and forth. But that meeting that we had, that was in Oak Lawn at St. Linus. There were some guys there.
Oh, super group.
They were just terrific.
Yeah.
And you guys know the one thing, the word, I guess, paradox. Bill likes to use that in the 12 and 12. The paradox of this program is you have to give it away to keep it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you know where we're at. I ran into
you firmly believe that, don't you?
I have to. I ran into a little bit of trouble this morning, and I didn't get a lot of sleep because I had a sponsee who was having some problems. And I actually texted you and said, let's change this.
know.
And then being a musician, I'm like, man, studio time. He's probably got to call the one guy that's coming in, setting everything up.
He lives here. Brian lives here.
Yeah. So, I knew in my head. I said, I can get out there. I'll just get out there and do this.
So glad you did
so,
this.
Well, you'll get a bill in the mail.
Yeah, thanks a bunch for coming in.
In the mail.
So let me just jump in. So, Mikey used the word, relate to you. I do a lot. Mikey does a lot. We think for sobriety, right? We use our turned our mess into a message and trying to get out there and help people, whether it's sponsoring, whether it's podcasts, whether it's sharing at a meeting, whether it's shaking the hand of a newcomer and just saying hi, passing phone numbers, having conversations, but Emil, when I look at you, I use the word, you inspire me to aspire to do more. Right. So, you look at a lot of people and we're going to talk about what you do today. And go back and listen to the other episode, but we're going to, tear into some good stuff today. But, what you do, I don't have the guts to do.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a lot of guts. Right. But and every time I think of you, and every time, because you have some really sexy coins,
really cool coins,
really cool coins that
not
that
like
I have on my desk.
Coins, they're like $20 coins.
Yeah,
they're beautiful. Though. They should be $100 coins.
They're works of art, but they mean so much to me because I know what's behind them, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh! And every time I'm like, I don't have time to do that. And but you know what? I don't have the guts. Well, but I can find them.
You're right. It's time, and it's also the courage to step out.
Do me a favor. Be careful, you two. I'm an alcoholic. All right, I don't need you to get my head to be too big.
It's not about
one of those Macy's Day balloons. Thanksgiving parade.
We'll include you in the Macy's Day parade. No, but it's not about that. And I think it's funny because when people mention me and stuff I do. It's 10 years ago I would have been like keep going. Right. Now it's like I shrink down and I'm like I don't want to be recognized for that, but there's value in recognizing the things we do.
There is,
and there's value in recognizing things when we're outside of our comfort zone, and that's where I recognize I'm getting chills, man. And when I start getting chills, I have to pay attention, but maybe it's time to expand my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I mean, even though I'm doing a lot, it doesn't matter. It's comfortable. Coming in here, we've done 280 episodes, right?
There's comfortable.
So I mean, maybe it's time. But now everybody's like, what does he do?
Right. So before we went live, Emil presented what he brings into the jails here locally. And
why don't we give him a chance to explain what he does? Because we say into the jails, and because we know what he does,
right?
But
excuse me, I'll give you guys like a brief synopsis. I remember I was in Oak Lawn and I went to a meeting. It was an open meeting, and there was 2 Russians. There was a guy and his wife, and she was really pretty. And the open finished, and I went up. Believe it or not, I wanted to see what she looked like at a closer view.
As did she.
Of course you did.
And I got up there, and he looked at me, and we talked briefly, him, me, and her. And he goes, "You do really good in the jail." And I said, "What are you talking about?" Because it was an open. They were the speakers.
How much sobriety did you have under your belt at this point?
24 hours, because that's what I tell everybody. Only because I had such a hard time when I came into this program. I mean, everybody was smoking.
Yeah, right.
All the old men were there. They didn't, if you didn't listen to them, I remember thinking to myself, they've kicked me so hard in the tail section, I'd be flossing my teeth with their shoelaces. But it was about, I always said 24 hours. Even my sponsor to this day does not really know. I have an estimate where I know where I was.
Right.
But it was easier for me to say, Emil, you're not getting this. Take it a day at a time.
I love it.
But it's decades, right?
But you know what? It's enough time to where I definitely know that I've got foundation.
That's a great way to put it.
The only way you can help people is to have enough foundation to really, and you have to know too that if you're going to try to help somebody, you can only tell them how you did it.
You can't give away something you ain't got.
But you have to learn that too by experience. Right. You have to get mad and say, they're not listening to me. I told them they need to do this. And then have to recognize that's one of your character defects. Your pride's getting in the way. You're just like this person. Tell them what you did and then try to direct them in a way that they'll understand. And so anyway, the jail thing, it just all worked out that this guy said, you do really good at the jail. And I said, I'm thinking, how does he know that? And I was a military policeman, so I had a security clearance, and I was like, I wonder if I can get an ID to go into Cook County Jail. And I really didn't want to go. It was part of my alcoholism was thinking, I wonder if I can get the ID.
Yeah, right.
And I got it right away. So then I'm thinking, now I got to go into the jail. Yeah, now I got to go in. And I remember when I first went in, the 2 guys, they weren't talking to me, and nobody had come into the room. We were in the chapel, And they're like the detainees. The people that are in county jails like to be referred to as detainees.
Okay.
All right. Whereas prisoners would be considered somebody who's already been through the courts and already has been told how much time they're going to do, et cetera. So the detainees, hadn't been in yet. And these guys
early in the pipeline.
I'm scared. So, but in that case, after doing it, just cut to the chase. After doing it for a bit, it got to be, I could tell that I was in a certain area that I was meant to be in. And though you say I'm a little scared of what you do, I was scared too. And until you really get in that, you don't know. And then here's the funny thing. This is where a higher power is in control. I hadn't talked to my cousin who had been sober at that time for about 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And found out he was going into the jails.
Oh.
Yeah, and then met him on the corrections committee. He was just coming off the committee at Castle, and I was coming on to it. So what are the chances of that happening? I hadn't talked to him in I don't know how long. He was so proud of me that I was doing, why did you start doing that? And then I told him the story about the guy and blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
But let me add this real quick, because this is funny, too. After doing about 4 years or so inside Division 11 at Cook County Jail, which is like general population, a commander came in and he goes, you would do really good across the street. And I said, what's across the street? And he said, Division 10, maximum security. And I remember telling him, I said, you call Alcoholics Anonymous. Maybe they'll send somebody. And then driving home, it's like the higher powers tapping me.
Oh, I hate that tap.
And I'm thinking, I have to. And then I started going in there, and I put, about 5 years in there. And it was funny because you'd get, the guards are real close to the tier, but they're not in the tier. They will go in there. They have a door to go in, but they have a window that separates the tier. The tier holds probably 50 or so of the detainees. And when I first started, you get about probably 6 to 8 of them up front. And the bathrooms are real close. So, these guys would be flushing the urinals or toilets, making noise, right? And it got to be that I brought so much material in. I would bring things in like I've brought in here to show you guys. And they really liked it. And they're the type that once they start getting stuff, they all want to get stuff.
Okay.
I made the mistake one time of bringing folders in, and they were assorted colors. And after, can I have a blue one?
They'll want a certain color.
Yeah, can I have a red?
Spent the whole meeting arguing about that.
And I said, I just took all original black colors, But in any case, so what I'm saying is that I had the one time I walked in, it was like near Thanksgiving. This is 8-10 weeks later, and both psychiatrists are in the room, and all 50 of them are all seated. And I come walking in, and I was real scared then because you got both the shrinks in there looking at you.
Yeah.
And they
analyzing you, right?
And they handed me a card, and it said, "Happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Dichotomy."
Oh,
that was the word I always use.
Yes.
And those of you that don't know what that means, it means two opposed or contradictory groups, like having the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other,
It's
and
dichotomy.
Right in the middle.
It's dichotomy, I tell you.
So you got to find your balance. And as an alcoholic, you know what I found? I look at the card and I go, "Oh, they spelled dichotomy wrong."
So one of the things that Emil and I did collectively several years ago was you were looking to bring a coin in, but you couldn't bring a coin in because of the metal, the material, and so Emil spent. I'm telling on you now, but Emil spent a year and a half perfecting a little and getting approval for a little coin that is printed on special paper. That the inmates that the detainees could get, and
so it's on like cardboard paper type thing.
But it had to be. It was very specific. I mean, you couldn't use a certain heavy weight. You couldn't use certain inks, right? I mean,
it had to be paper. Yeah, it had to be a paper coin. And what was funny is the paper that I used was too thick, so the detainees were jamming the locks with it. So Cook County Jail wouldn't approve the paper. So finally, we went through your friend, and I don't know how much paper Mark went through.
Right.
But he eventually found it, and I got him approved. But that's
the tenacity of trying to do what you're doing is remarkable. It's remarkable. I always think, Emil, every time the word jail comes up, I pause because I remember going through an intersection, 127th and Harlem in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, and I was 3/4 of the way through the intersection. I looked down at my speedometer as I was trying to find my brake pedal, totally blasted. I was doing 65 miles an hour right through that intersection. Fortunately, it was like 4:34 in the morning. Nobody was there, but I was one intersection away from being a detainee. And I always stop and think to myself, because I could have creamed a family at that point, being out a traveling family, and I did some pretty stupid things out there.
We all did. You know what? It's something you don't think about.
No, you don't think about it.
I never got a DUI, and I should have had 100 of them.
Yeah, right. But these guys are in there. Have you ever run across cases, or do you run across cases now that guys are in for alcohol related? So, in other words, I don't know how to say it. I mean, how much is alcohol and drugs addiction entwined to these?
Heavy.
And
Real
so
heavy.
are you getting good response? I mean, are they recognizing their alcohol or drug use brought them into this place?
I think that once they moved me into maximum security, I got more of a, I didn't want to go in there because then you're dealing with rapists, murderers, felons, but their eyes. When you first meet these people, they look like sharks. And then after you're there for a year or two, between the psychiatrists that are there and you bringing in the material, you can see the difference in them. You can see an opening. Something happens. And I remember being there, and the question you're asking me, I remember being there, and a cab driver came in, and he was new, and you could tell he was nervous. He didn't want to be there. Who would? But he goes, I haven't had a drink in 15 years, but I smoked a joint, and I killed a pedestrian. And he was a cab driver, and I'm like, what now? That's some, that is some heavy things I have to deal with. And yet I dealt with him for about 2 years before he was actually sentenced. I think then he got sentenced to either Menard or had to go to Stateville, one of the two. And then the difference, just so you guys can kind of understand this, it's hard to understand the differences between the jails, but like a county jail where you have the detainees, they're a little bit more, they're gang related. They're guys that are looking to get out to drink and do drugs again.
Yeah, right.
So it's almost a lost cause when you're in there, unless you're giving them something that they can read or something they might feel guilty about later. Okay. I would take M&Ms. You ever seen the M&M that I said I didn't have? I've been sober 24 hours. And luckily, the Mars Candy Company hasn't contacted me with a cease and desist.
Wait, you had custom M&Ms made?
I took
fantastic.
a big M&M and put it where it said M&M on his chest. I put a little sign that said, I've been sober 24 hours.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what's funny is I gave it to somebody, I think it was at probably Silver Oaks Behavioral Hospital, which is right across from Silver Cross, and this kid relapsed that night, and he goes, boy, damn you, Emil, you gave me that M&M, and I put it on my dresser, and he goes, I want you to know that the next day I kept looking at that M&M, and I've been going to meetings ever since. So it worked.
They always say AA screws up your drinking.
Yeah, right.
No, so okay, so I'm trying to piece it together in my mind. Even though these folks are detainees, they may be in there for a year or two, so it's not a turnover, right? You see the same guys.
In a county jail, you see them. The courts are so slow to respond.
Right.
They're getting better now, and keep in mind this is back a few years too. So it took them, like Cook County Jail, I would have a guy for 2 years, 2.5 years before they would sentence him.
Yeah, I would think like 2 weeks. So that's a long time to build a relationship.
Going to be like, can we move this process along?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be like,
I'm Glenn H. By the way,
depends on the crime. Now I'm referring to maximum security, where they have to move.
I totally get it. So that's where you spend most of your time now, right? It's maximum security.
I'm not at Cook County Jail now. I'm at Will County. So because I moved to Frankfort from Oak Lawn, where I live.
Okay, so Cook County is, or no,
Will County.
Will County is shorter term?
It is. It's an adult detention center.
Right.
The crimes there are probably marijuana, sales of coke, something along those lines. So,
I mean, I'm on social media and I see a lot of court cases, right? I love the crime court cases, and a lot of them are drug related. A lot of them have to do the drops. The what do they call them? UAs. And it's amazing. People that just repeat. I'm not amazed because that was me.
Right.
But I just saw one recently. A Washington police officer, blew blood draw 1.7, and killed a guy on a motorcycle. I mean, she's going to be.
Yeah.
Then I just saw another one, like a 19-year-old college student was out partying. I mean, she's in jail for 20 years.
Yeah, right.
And she had a very good aspirational medical career, and she's like, well,
it was me at the intersection, though.
Absolutely.
Really,
and she's like, hey, I had an accident. The judge says, no. When you make a decision to drink or drug and then drive, that's not an accident. Right. That's a decision. Yeah. And you said you were, X amount away, and you were a block away from, I had one decision. I had a cop say, you either go get help or you get in the back of my cop car. And I'm glad I made the right decision. I'm like, I'll go.
How was the back of his car? Nice?
I never made it. I went to the ambulance.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you made the right decision.
I did make the right decision. But, I mean, that's how close I was.
So, Emil, you've been doing this a long time. Do you plan on retiring from it, or is this just part of your existence now? Is this one of the?
I think every now and then you feel like it's time to quit. I've done it long enough, but then I think to myself, what am I going to do? Yeah. The graphic art has helped because it's helped me to put all this stuff together, like this thing which goes into the jail. This thing I'm referring to, I know you guys can't see this at home, but it's Meeting in a Pocket, which comes out of Casso, and it's a very small thing that came from Florida. What's weird is Henry, he has passed away since, but he was in charge of the Corrections Committee, and he brought it in. And it's a small thing that they send in the mail. You guys have seen them. And I made it bigger and made it like a grapevine with a permanent binding, because this, when you bring this in, this has got everything in it. And this is great for sponsees, because let's say they're on the 6th step. I can tell them, go to page 18. And
Wait, are you sponsoring guys? Are you sponsoring guys in there? Oh, wow.
No, not in there. On the outside.
On the outside, okay.
It's like a hospital. They have a HIPAA program.
Yeah, okay.
You're not allowed.
Okay,
just like in the jails, too. You have to tell them, find me at a meeting. I can't even tell you where I live.
Okay,
give you my whole name.
Yeah,
got to be Emil B.
B.
So how often do you go? Monthly?
It's every other week at Will County.
Okay.
And it was weekly, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. at Cook County.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was quite a bit, So I was retired, so it was a little easier for me to do it. Yeah. And it filled the time. But, the thing that gets me with what I've done, it's made me closer to a higher power, because I never realized just where that higher power is going to direct you. Like you're talking about the things you guys do here. It's going to take someone like me to kind of explain to you what you put in. Right. And just like you're saying to me, the same thing. You put in this time, you do that. I couldn't. And the thing is, we all contribute. That's how we all stay sober, and we all know this, through the meetings and such.
So you were in the entertainment business before this.
Isn't that surprising? I never had a DUI.
No, right. So how do you compare your level of fulfillment in life of those days? Because there's a lot of accolades. You're on stage. You got groupies. You got all this kind of stuff happening, right? And you're kind of in your own status, you're a rock star. How do you? And that brings a certain level of fulfillment. Can you compare the level of fulfillment that you have performing with the level of fulfillment you have when you see that twinkle in a detainee's eyes?
Yeah, you can, but as you know, it's going to be if I got to go into dichotomy.
Oh, I knew he'd use the word.
Yes, I knew you were pushing towards that, because it's such a different framework. When you're performing and you're looking for that adulation from the crowd, you already have an attitude. Your pride is already affected. You already have, believe it or not, you think you're a little better than those people that you're performing to.
Because you have a gift. You have a gift. You're using it, right?
That we're ignorant as human beings. I mean, I can get any girl in the room. I can, your mind tends to get ahead of itself.
Grandiose.
And as you guys
not based in any reality.
And once you become sober, you start to accept and understand that, I was the one that caused this problem. And so I'm also the one that's the dreamer. And so it's a separate thing. It's, when I look at when I did a lot of stuff for Jonathan Brandmeier. I did his brother's wedding out in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So I had my little 15 minutes of fame, way more than most people. And I guess when I compare them, the compare is so minuscule towards what I did when I was drinking and playing that rock thing as to what I do now.
Right.
So is it deeper? Yeah, very much so. And that's where it goes to, am I going to quit it? I don't know. It becomes an addiction as well, to where you're helping people. Just like this show. How long you guys been doing this?
Yeah, a couple, 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Every time I leave the house, my wife says, "Hey, have fun." I'm like, this isn't fun, right? It's rewarding, you know? And I probably can't even define fun, right? But it's very rewarding over time.
Right.
And I never feel like anything I do, Emil, I never feel like doing it. Did I feel like getting up this morning? I was sleeping through my alarm. My wife came and woke me up. She goes, "You're sleeping through your alarm." And I'm like, oh, you know, it's you know, trudgery, right? To get up and grind and go. But you know what? Every time I do it, when I'm in the moment, I usually start to feel it. And afterwards, as I reflect. So, quick question. What does it take for a guy like me? I mean, does it make sense to go through the hoops to go to one visit?
The problem is that the world has changed so much, where I used to be able to bring somebody in to a hospital or even to the jail. You can't anymore. If you don't have an ID, just like if you haven't gone through the entire HIPAA,
training and process,
or if you haven't gone through a supervisor at a hospital where they're going to say, okay, you can, you know, we'll give him ID and he can come in. You can't. And what hurts is that when I used to just get a letter, I'd get a letter of recommendation, get the person's information, get it cleared with the county to get into Cook County. Now you have to do the state. If you want to get into Stateville, you have to go through Illinois. To get into county jail, you just have to go through the county. But the thing is, they have to be cleared, and I used to be able to bring them in with the letter of recommendation.
Not anymore.
So now it's a whole background check and process.
Yeah, they've stopped it all. I don't know if somebody sued them. You know, there's such frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody fell down in the jail and then came at them. Who knows?
I can't believe we've blown through a half hour already.
Oh my gosh, man! I just love spending time with
I
you.
know.
I just get inspired to aspire.
How do people find out about them? I almost called it a ministry, but you know, is there more? Do you have something more online that talks about the jail ministry?
Yeah, they can. For them, you're talking about the jail. Where's the ministry coming from?
I don't know.
Yeah, if they want to find out anything with the Corrections Committee, you can go to probably chicagoaa.org and look under Corrections Committee.
Okay.
And they have the meetings there at I believe it's the last Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
Probably at 7 o'clock at night.
What if they want to get a really, really, really nice coin? Where do they go for that?
They probably have to call me directly.
You don't have a website on that?
I took it. You know what? I took it down.
Oh.
I did. Only because it was getting to the point where I don't want any proceeds from it. The money that did come in, I would get books to go into the jail. And now I've got different avenues. There's a place called the World Book Bank.
Okay.
You can go to them, worldbookbank.org, and you can see they have books that they contribute to the jails throughout the United States.
Okay, seriously, if somebody wants a really, really, really nice coin, email podcast at Sober.Coffee, podcast at Sober.Coffee, and I'll hook you up with a really, really, really good coin.
Yeah, I'll get it to you guys.
Emil, thanks for coming in today, man.
That's amazing.
It's a pleasure.
No,
you're a joy to be with you guys.
You were a rock star, and now you're a
literal rock star.
A literal rock star. All right, thanks, man.
That's
Getting
awesome.
deep.
Thanks, brother.
All right.
Great to see you again.
Good to see you guys, too.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.